The Parra podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Clothing, and the official media partner of the Parra podcast, the Parramatta Times.
Welcome to another episode of the Parra podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Parra Cave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to the Parra podcast. And here we go again. It was Manly versus Parra at Commbank Stadium, which was played on Sunday, the 24th of March, in front of a crowd of 20,354, which I thought, in my opinion, was pretty disappointing. Still a great crowd, but I thought after the round one crowd of 29,171, I thought potentially on a Sunday afternoon, Manly Sea Eagles 2 from 2, Parramatta, a slight loss to the Penrith Panthers, Sunday afternoon football. It was great conditions out there. I thought maybe that crowd figure may have been a little higher. Look, we all know that Manly fans don't travel that much. There was a few out there, and you could hear them certainly in the crowd, but I thought there would have been a few more Manly fans there, but we all know they don't like to cross the bridges to get out to the Golden West, but nevertheless, still a great crowd. Now, to the game, potentially also to maybe, just maybe, it was the first weekend of the Royal Easter Show here in New South Wales, so potentially that may have had a little bit of an impact. Okay, to the game, well, look, it was 28 points to 24, 28 points to 24, Parramatta the victors in the end of the game. And look, it was you could almost say, a semi-final sort of type of game, I guess. As I said, Manly 2 from 2, they were flying. Parramatta a win over the Bulldogs, and also a 8-point loss to the Penrith Panthers up there at Commbank Stadium, Penrith's home ground, the week before. So, a little bit of a reshuffle for the Eels. Bailey Simonson was out, and Morgan Harper was on the wing. Blaze Talagi, he made his NRL debut, player number 844, I believe, for the Parramatta Eels, and he made his debut in the centre position as well. So a little bit of a reshuffle there after what happened up there at Penrith. So the Eels, well, the Sea Eagles, I should say, they came out with all guns blazing in the first half. They scored the first try through Tom Trbojevic, who was pretty much involved, as you would expect, in all of Manly's plays. And I think it was a kick downfield after making a break on the right-hand side of the field, I think it was, Parramatta's left-hand side, and just simply outpaced Dylan Brown, although Dylan Brown, he never gave up trying to get that ball and also make the tackle on Tommy, but Tommy scored, I think, his first try of the year, correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but I think it could be his first try of the year, and a lot of punters were tipping him to score score a try in this game, as he has got a pretty good record of scoring tries against Parramatta. The second try was also to Manly, Jackson Paolo in the 11th minute. Now, look, I think, in my opinion, I thought Blaze got caught out, and then that made Morgan Harper come inside, and that created the overlap for Manly, and it was just a simple catch and pass, and Jackson went over to score the try. Now, I think, as I said, I think that was Blaze's fault. But he's only on debut, so he learnt from that, that's for sure, I think. And look, a lot of people would probably blame Morgan Harper for that, but I think he had to come in because Blaze came in and Manly created that overlap. Look, Parramatta, they were down 14-0 after 12 minutes, and you thought, oh, this could be a long afternoon, but thankfully, through the boot of Mitchell Moses, Will Penasini scored Parramatta's first try. It was just a little sort of a chip kick over about 10 metres out across field, and Penasini found himself in the right place at the right time and just had to simply catch and put the ball down, and that got Parramatta's scoring off to their start to their scoring. And look, there was a bit of a momentum shift in that first half when Junior Paulo came on for Parramatta. I think it has really been working with him coming off the bench this season, all 3 games. It just adds that great impact, I think, especially when RCG is off and then Junior comes on. So I think that's a good combination that is working at the moment. I think it's a good tactic that's working at the moment from Brad Arthur, and I think you may find that both Junior Paulo and Ryan Madison potentially could be starting off the bench all season, because at the moment I think it is working. I think Parramatta had a little bit more, a bit of a momentum shift, as I said, when Junior came on. In fact, so the next try to Mitchell Moses in the 25th minute was a factor in that. A regulation hit up close to the line from Junior Paulo, and we all know that he attracts defenders. If he's able to get that arm free, he will offload, and look, it was a hit and spin from Junior, and then the offload to Mitchell, who was just there, and with the conversion, Parramatta get back to 14-12. So after the start that Parramatta had, they would have been happy to get back to 14-12, only 2 points behind Manly. Look, there was a scrum win close to the line for Parramatta, which led to the next try that they scored, and they got to a 18-12 16-12 lead. And look, it was new debutant Blaze Talagi who scored the try, and look, what a try it was. As I said, of a scrum win and a no-look pass from Mitchell Moses, a quick reactionary pass. He knew that Blaze was there. He caught the ball, and look, for all money, I think most rugby league fans thought that Blaze was going to get tackled by Tommy Turbo, but look, Blaze had just had other ideas. He saw that line and he just ran over the top of him and scored his first try in his debut game. And look, congratulations to Blaze. I caught up with him after the game and wished him, or said congratulations on the try and also the game as well. He was very much appreciative to all the fans after the game. And look, as I said, for all money, we all thought that Tommy was going to tackle him, but nah, Blaze just had other ideas and straight over the top of him and scored a try. I don't think we'll see that again from Tom or a player trying to run over Tommy. I think he will have that covered next time. But this occasion, nah, he wasn't going to stop Blaze on his debut, scoring his first try. So congratulations to Blaze. Reuben Garrick got the next try from Parramatta. Look, it was pretty damaging to Parramatta. They got back into the lead, and then I think again it might have been a little bit of communication errors between the Parramatta outside backs. I think Talagi came in again on Olakawatu, which meant Morgan Harper had to go in, and then look, Tommy T just simply passed it on to Reuben Garrick, who dummied to his winger because they had a 2-on-1, and they ended up taking the lead 18 points to 16. So look, that would have been really disappointing for Parramatta after putting in the hard yards and getting back into the lead, and especially after being 14-0 down. But credit to Manly. We thought that potentially was a bit of a controversial moment. We thought maybe as Parramatta fans anyway, we thought there could have been a knock-on from DCE at one point there, but it wasn't to be. It wasn't called, so it was play on, and Manly shift it to their right, and they get the try through Ruben Garrick, who actually converted. So 18 points to 16, Manly in front at half time. So still anybody's game at this point, only a 2-point difference. And look, after the half-time break, 3 minutes in fact after half-time, Morgan Harper goes in the corner from a Dylan Brown pass. He passed it out to Harper, and this time he caught it and scored. In the first half, they tried something similar. Now, there's a little bit of divided opinion, I think, from fans. Some say it could have been Harper's fault. He should have been a bit further up than what he was at the point of where the ball landed. And some people say that it could have been maybe the pass from Dylan Brown. Look, what's your thoughts on that one? I don't know. But in the second half, anyway, it came off. Morgan caught the ball and scored in the corner, so that was a pretty good reward there. And then they went up 20 points to 18, so they got back into the lead after going into the sheds behind at half time. Kelma Tuolagi, he scored a try. So Morgan Harper, former Manly player, scored against his old club, and the next Parramatta try and the next try in the game was to Kelma Tuolagi, who was again playing against his old club, the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles. I think a lot of us thought he would not be playing this game after last week against the Penrith Panthers, dislocating his shoulder. Obviously wasn't too much of a bad dislocation. I would have thought he would have been out for this game for all money, the way I saw him and others saw him on the field last week. But he was named, and that was a surprise to a lot of people. But he did play, and it was a great short ball from Mitchell Moses, and Kelma scored his first try in Eels colours. So great to see that happen. And if you saw the Parra Cave podcast socials on Instagram, I actually did capture a little bit of video of that try. So I was sitting down that end, so it was great to see Kelma get a try, that's for sure. A little bit later on, look, this is the controversial point of the game for Manly fans anyway, and rugby league, I guess you could call it. Commentators, experts, and the like. Some say it should have been a try. Others say, yep, definitely no try. And I'm talking about the obstruction ruling against Jake Trbojevic. Tommy Turbo, he made a break through the centre of the field and then passed it to Kula, who scored under the post for Manly, which they would have taken the lead back, I do believe, or got very close to it. I think maybe 2 points under, but it was a controversial moment because some people believe that Luca Moretti gave up on the play. They believe that he did enough to warrant a no try in terms of Jake Trbojevic going and stopping in the defensive line, impeding him. A lot of people say that Luca wouldn't have made that tackle anyway, but in saying that, that's not the point whether he made the tackle or not. It's the rules. You just cannot stop in the defensive line. You either have to go through it or you have to pull up short. And unfortunately for Manly and Manly fans, Jake stopped in the line, and Luca, he couldn't make the tackle on, as I said, it's hard to say whether he would have or not. Tommy was probably too fast and maybe would have got through the gap anyway, but it definitely impeded Luca's chance of having a crack anyway. So that was awarded no try. Look, when Tommy Turbo passed the ball as well, obviously from where I was sitting down the other end behind the post, I couldn't exactly really see it, but from the replays, that's for sure. I thought it was a forward pass anyway, but obviously you can't rule on a forward pass anyway, so the bunker can't rule on that. So I thought it was a forward pass anyway, but it was ruled no try, and Manly had to go back to the drawing board. A little bit later on, Parramatta get a penalty, and I was a little bit disappointed at this point for what they did. Now, I thought potentially they could have taken the tap and kept the roll on and just wound down the clock that way, kept the roll on, made the defence tired as well. But the disappointing part about it is they went for the 2 points. As I said, I thought they would have kept the roll on. They got to a 10-point lead. I thought potentially if you took the tap, there would have been the chance to get a further 14-point lead. But look, also taking the kick for goal also did take some time off the clock. So at that point of the game, it's always good to take a little time off the clock as well. So and like a lot of other Parramatta fans, they were disappointed as well that everyone that I've spoken to, all the fans that I've spoken to, they were disappointed that they went for the 2 points as well. I'd like to know whose decision that was, whether it was an on-field decision or a BA decision. Who knows? I don't know. But certainly an interesting one as well. Late in the game. Now, this is typical of Parramatta. They get to a lead and they let the other team into the game. Corey Riddell scored a try in the 72nd minute, a short side play, and he scores a try just from about 10 metres out. He gets over by getting inside Will Penasini, and look, Garrick converts it to make it 28 points to 24 with 6 minutes to go. And as a Parramatta fan, we all know when the opposition is in striking distance of Parramatta's score in the last 5 minutes or so of a game, we all get tense, we all get worried, we all know what happens. It has happened before, many a time before, and look, I was no different in that last 6 minutes of that game on Sunday. I was worried. Within 4 points within striking distance, I thought, it's not over till it's over, till that full-time whistle goes. And with Manly in striking distance of Parramatta's score, I thought this is still on, and I hope we can hang on. And because if Manly score a try, then Ruben Garrick, he's a pretty good goal kicker. So he may have kicked the conversion. Not saying that he would have, but it might have been a try out wide and he might have missed the kick. But he's a pretty good goal kicker, and I thought maybe he would have converted and Parramatta lost the game. But it wasn't to be. But there was a little bit of a weird ending to the game, that's for sure. Josh Aloiai, he got sent to the sin bin for a open palm, I guess you could call it, connect to the head of RCG, a strike, open palm strike on RCG after a bit of a, I guess you could call it, push and shove from the two sides. I think it was Josh who tried to do a big tackle on one of the Parramatta players. I'm not too sure, I can't remember who it was, but RCG, once the players got together, then RCG and looked at Josh, and then the open palm strike happened as well. Look, I must say, before all this happened, when RCG, I think, came on for his second stint, that was a little bit of a turning point in the game as well, because he came out of the line and put a massive hit on, I think it was Jackson Polo from Manly, the winger, and that whole defensive set, Parramatta kept Manly down within their own 20-metre line. It could have even been like their own 10-metre line. It was just tackle after tackle after tackle in that set that just kept Manly down, and that was a little bit of a turning point in the game as well. So I must say that. Look, as I said, Josh got 10 minutes in the sin bin. It was only like 30 seconds on the 30 seconds, 17 seconds left on the clock, whatever. But he got 10 minutes in the bin, so he got an early shower. He got the hot water before the other boys. And look, I was a little bit surprised. I thought maybe Parramatta might have just taken the tap and just done the old one-out stuff and just really gripped that ball so Manly couldn't do a one-on-one strip. But I guess at the end of the day, it was probably a smart play. Joey Lussick took the kick for line. I guess wound down the clock a little bit more as well. So they took the kick for line, and I don't even think they got to take the tap after the kick for line. But that was full time, and thankfully Parramatta got the victory, 28 points to 24. It elevates them now to 6th place on the ladder, which is a fairly reasonable result. 2 out of 3 wins. It's a solid start to the year for Parramatta. Their only loss was to Penrith. And look, for me, players of the game, I thought Joey Lussick, I thought he had his best Parramatta game that he has had since he's been there. He was really active, good service from dummy half, took a few line kicks as well from penalties. I guess that was with Mitchell Moses and his groin injury. I guess just trying to take that pressure off him as well. As I mentioned, Junior Paulo was solid after coming on for both stints. RCG in his 200th game. And look, we send our condolences out to RCG. His brother passed away during the week, and RCG still played his 200th game. Massive effort from him, and I'm pretty certain that the boys were never going to let him down, especially after that. So our thoughts go out to RCG and his family. But he had a great game, I thought, on Sunday in his 200th, and I just think, to do that after such an event, that's an amazing thing. Look, I thought Dylan Brown was pretty good as well. There were times there where Dylan Brown was getting the ball, and I said to someone after the game last night, it's just amazing how when Dylan gets a ball, he doesn't exactly sort of take off and run. He's got the, especially in the 15, from about 20 metres out to the try line, he's got this sort of knack of getting the ball, and he's got this good stepping game on him. So he'll step a couple of players, but then once he sees an opening, that's when he'll put his foot down on the pedal and just try and get through that line and get that line break. And he did that a couple of times on Sunday against Manly, and I thought he was going to get through one of those times that he did do one of those little runs, and but he didn't. But he looked dangerous when he was running, and obviously his passing game was there. He started the game with a headband on, the black electrical tape headband. I thought that was pretty cool. Maybe he might run out like that every week, but maybe not. Clint Gutherson as well. Oh, look, most run meters, 165 metres. Look, you're always going to get that from Gutho. We all know what he is like as a player. He's just going to get all those metres. He's going to get all those. He's just the everywhere man. And look, if we as Parramatta fans don't see him play like a man of the match performance every week, then we think he's either injured or something like that, because we just sort of expect that from him each and every week, and that's what he does. He does that each and every week as well. So he's just one of those players. He just never gives up. He wants to win every single game that he plays in. So congratulations to Clint as well. Now, coming out of that game and breaking today, unfortunately, Mitchell Moses has a fractured foot and will require surgery and potentially could be out up to between 6 and 12 weeks. Got a few media outlets reporting different things. The Eels have confirmed 8 weeks. I've heard 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 weeks. So I guess it's just on the healing powers of Clint Gutherson, Mitchell Moses. And so that'll be interesting to see how he goes there in that recovery. But it is a massive blow for the Parramatta Eels and their premiership credentials. And he's a linchpin in this side, so a massive loss for Parramatta. Now, there's a few questions as to who is going to replace him in that number 7 jersey. Obviously, Dejan Arce is probably, I guess, maybe the favourite to get that spot and leave Dylan Brown where he is. Morgan Harper, look, next week, Mike Acevo finishes his suspension for the hit that he did in the trial game. So he is back up for selection. Now, personally, and this is my personal opinion, I wouldn't bring Micah straight back into the side. And look, the only reason that is because I think last year discipline was a big problem for the Parramatta Eels and suspensions. So, look, Mike he's done the crime and he's done the time, but just bring him back through New South Wales Cup. Bailey Simonson is due back after his 11-day stand down for his concussion that he suffered against the Panthers, so he will come back into this side. Potentially could go onto the wing, and look, it could. I personally would leave Blaze in the centres, and maybe Bailey can replace Morgan Harper on the wing. Or do you put Blaze into 5'8"? A lot of people have said that he is a natural 5'8". Do you put Dylan Brown to halfback? So have Blaze and Dylan in the halves. Some have even mentioned, do you put Clint Gutherson into the 5'8" role and put Bailey Simonson back to fullback? That's not a bad one either. So a few combinations there to go. Some have even mentioned, do you promote Ethan Sanders to make his debut? I'm not too sure if he is allowed to make his debut in NRL. I'm not 100% sure. I think he could be in the top 30. I'm not too sure if he's on a development contract. I'm not too sure. Please let me know if what contract he is on and if he can play NRL. But if he's allowed to, well, then that's a pretty handy replacement for Mitchell. I mean, he is the New South Wales Cup halfback, so you would like to think that potentially he's the second in line halfback for that first grade position, so maybe he might. So there's going to be an interesting team list Tuesday come out tomorrow about this team and who's going to replace Mitchell. But a massive loss for Mitchell. I think he may come back against the Storm at Magic Round. but we'll just have to wait and see how surgery goes and how it heals. But look, a massive loss for the Eels. Look, it's just, before I wrap it up, there is just one more thing I'd like to say. I'd like to give a special shout out, and I think I know he will be listening to the podcast. A special shout out to a 11-year-old called Patrick. Now, I was pretty... I'll tell you the story. I was standing there with the Talking Parra guys. We were getting a photo together because it was the first time that we were all together at a Parramatta game. So shout out to the Talking Parra podcast, another podcast that you'll find myself on each and every week. And Patrick came up to me and asked me, said my name. Are you Troy Warner? Yes, I am. And he was so happy to meet me. And look, he has autism, so he's an 11-year-old autistic boy. And look, it just makes me feel so good that I could that he enjoys listening to the podcast. So I no doubt he will listen to this. And so special shout out to you, Patrick. And I met his dad as well. And it just, I guess it probably makes me feel good that the stuff that I do, he enjoys listening to and is a fan of what I do. So, look, that was a really good thing. It made his day. It really did. It made his day, and Parramatta got the victory as well. So, that was a bonus as well. He did say he was hoping that Dylan Brown had scored the first try, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. But look, just so happy that it was out of the blue, completely out of the blue. So happy that it made his day. And yeah, at one stage there, he asked for, can I have a cuddle? Yep, sure, no worries. So look, it blows me away that I've got that support like that, and thank you very much for that. So that was great to meet a listener, and as I said, made his day. His smile is from ear to ear. It was massive. He was so happy. So shout out to you, Patrick, and I know you'll be listening to this podcast. So thank you very much. Great to catch up with you at the game, and who knows, maybe may catch up with you at another game as well throughout the season. But that was Parramatta versus Manly. Parramatta 28 points to 24. The next game that Parramatta will play is on Easter Monday, the traditional game between the Tigers and the Eels. This one this year is being played at Commbank Stadium on Easter Monday. So 8-day rest for the Eels. Well, not rest, they'll be training obviously, but a longish sort of layoff there. 8 days recovery and the like, and training obviously as well. But the traditional Easter Monday game on Easter Monday at Commbank Stadium, so I will be there as well on that day, so I may see you there. But that is the next game for the Parramatta Eels in round 4. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that review, and please, if there's anything I missed out, just send me a message and I'll do my best to answer those questions. Or if you have any other questions, just send them through, and I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to catch my tipping podcast, which will be out tomorrow, Tuesday night, after the Team List Tuesdays. And so don't forget to check that one out. And also there'll be another interview-based podcast come out on Thursday with another Parramatta Eels fan. But also, please have a listen to David Gatt, a Parramatta Eels fan who is part of the Big Three Trek gang, who doing the trek from Sydney to Newcastle to raise money and awareness for the Mark Hughes Foundation in the Beanie for Brain Cancer round. So there'll be some videos coming out on Instagram as well. Please give me a follow on Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, subscribe so you don't miss a thing. So check that interview out. It's really, really interesting as well. There'll be some videos coming out throughout the week as well. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you Parramatta fans enjoyed that victory on the weekend against the old enemy, the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles, and I'll catch you next time and at the next game versus the Tigers. Go Parra!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Parra Cave Podcast. See you next time.